In this video, I'm going to show you how to place your throttle body on this Dodge Grand Caravan. Let's get started. Let's remove the engine cover. Simply pull up on it and it should unclip. Set it aside. Next we have to remove this intake hose. It's got two clamps. You can use an 8mm socket on this clamp as well as on that clamp. Just unthread them a little bit and you should be able to pull this right off. Same on this side, except you can't really see this one, it's in the back. And now, take this and slide it right off. Just so I can make more space to work, I'm going to pull this PCV hose off of here and just push it to the side. Next we have to remove this resonator assembly. As soon as you take this piece off, it should just slide out. However, there is a connector for an air temperature sensor here, so make sure you unplug that. And then you should be able to just pry this up and off, and it should come off of the throttle body. Now it is still clipped in the back there, so there we go. Kind of pry it until it pops off, slide it out of the way. Now let's get these wires off the throttle body. This one's clipped on here, and then the throttle body connector itself. Press on that red tab, pull this away. And now we'll use an 8mm socket, remove the 4 bolts that hold this throttle body onto the intake. Nope, wants to fall off already. Guess that's a good sign. There's the last bolt. Take your tool off of there, and now you can remove your throttle body. Take this gasket off. The new throttle body should come with a new gasket. If you can't take it out, you can just use a pocket screwdriver and kind of pry it out of here, or a little pick if you have that. There we go. Now take the gasket and slide it onto the groove here, onto the intake manifold. Press it in. It should have little tabs on the side, little bumps that will allow it to lock in. Now take your new throttle body and line it up. Start in whichever bolt you can reach first easily. Okay, that one's started. Start this one. Let's do the 2 bottom ones. Now because this is threading into plastic, I strongly recommend trying to follow the existing threads. Get those bolts to catch on those threads. You don't want to, I guess it would be cross-threading. You don't want to cross-thread this because the plastic will be a lot weaker once you do this, and it will not hold this throttle body on as tight as it should. So I'm going to go in a cross pattern here to snug it as well as to torque it later, because I want this gasket to squish evenly. If I just squish the top and then the bottom, it might actually not seat fully and not properly. So going in a cross pattern ensures that that happens. And when I'm snugging these, I'm just going until they bottom out. The torque is very low on this, so I don't want to crush these down. I also don't want to strip the plastic where these screws go in. So at this point, we can grab that torque wrench and torque them. The torque is going to be 62 inch-pounds, so it's very low. This converts to 5.2 foot-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench that'll torque it that low, just take that little ratchet and snug them up. That's going to be perfectly fine. As you can see, that is all it takes. Just going to double check them all now. With rubber gaskets, usually as they squish, the bolts that you torqued first will loosen up a little. Now let's get the wiring back over. Slide this in, make sure that clicks, and lock this connector or the retainer onto that tab. And there was this plug here for the air temperature sensor. So let's get that resonator piece back in, and then the rest of the intake. Take this resonator piece, slide it back in. When you slide this resonator piece in, it's got some grommets and some pins that it needs to line up with back there. When you slide it down, try not to damage any wires in the way. Put it onto the throttle body first. This will kind of locate it so that the pins line up. And then once you have it pressed down on the throttle body all the way, press it down in the back. There we go. And those pins are hooked in. This should move around a little bit like this. It'll wobble, but it won't come off. Don't forget to plug in the temperature sensor. Make sure that clicks. Put this piece back on. Doesn't really matter which end you put on first. It's whatever lines up the best. There we go. Let's tighten up those two clamps. When you tighten these up, just make them snug because it's easy to over tighten these. And if you do, it's going to strip out and then you'll need a new clamp. So once it gets snug, give it a little extra and that's it. That's snug right there, just a little extra. As long as you can't pull this off, you're good to go. Don't forget about this hose. If you removed it, put this back on. The engine cover also has 3 little grommets that it needs to line up with. So line it up, press it down. Now start your engine. Make sure it runs smoothly and responds properly to throttle input.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.